If you're having trouble with mathematics, numbers getting problematic, don't you panic. Check Math Wiz, the best math tutor on the planet. From fraction to algebra, simple maths, add up some trigonometry into that. Learning math is fun with Math Wiz, and that's a fact. We're rooting for you.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Math Wiz Academy lesson. I hope you're going to enjoy today. For those persons who are just joining me, I just want to tell you a special welcome. I hope that you will be returning for sure, as well as telling your other classmates, if you have brothers and sisters, whoever it is that may need this content. I just hope that you will enjoy it, and then feel free to share it with everyone. All right, for those persons who are returning, welcome back. So today's lesson, we are going to learn about the single bracket expansion, right? And here at Math Wiz Academy, for each video, if there is a prerequisite foundation skill that you will need, I will indicate it at the start of the video so that you can go ahead, fix up the gaps, fill them in, work it out, and then you can come back. So that is the way that you become confident in learning your math topics. It is by ensuring that the foundation or prerequisite skills that you need are fully covered. And so the video for that, I'm going to have those links up here, and then you can click on them and be sure to watch them if it is something you are not comfortable with. So the single bracket expansion usually has, a number on the outside. You'll have your bracket, and then you will have the two numbers or letters on the inside. Now, the rule states that you're going to take what is on the outside and multiply it by the first on the inside, right? So it will be the outside multiplied by the first on the inside. You will then take that same thing on the outside and multiply it by the second on the inside, right? So it's outside times first, and then outside multiplied by the second, right? And here at Math Wiz Academy, we try to make everything relatable and easy for you to understand, right? So though we have the math and the numbers, we want to translate these things into English so that you are able to have notes to follow very clearly, right? So again, going over the rule, you simply take what is on the outside and multiply it by the first on the inside, followed by having the outside multiplied by the second on the inside. So now that we know the rule, which is outside times first on the inside, followed by the outside times the second on the inside, which is what I have on the left-hand side of the board, let us actually use an example to see how this plays out. Right, so we would have what's on the outside, which is the 3, and then we would multiply it by the first on the inside, right? So we would basically have the 3 multiplied by the first on the inside. Now, I usually like to draw a little line in my notebook, right, to separate them, because that was like step 1. And then for step 2, we will simply take what is on the outside and multiply it by the second on the inside. So what is on the outside is still the 3. And then what's second on the inside, I want you to take up the sign as well, right? And so what's on the inside will be positive x. So now if you are very comfortable, and this is why I would have mentioned the prerequisite skill of multiplying your algebra. So the 3 times 2, so this is now step 3 to put it all together. So the 3 times 2 gives us 6, right? And if you want, you could put positive 6, but we don't need to, right? So we have the 6, and then we have 3 times positive x, right? And we want to remember, so what I'm focusing on now is how do I work out 3 multiplied by positive x? Well, I see a positive times a positive, so I know that I'm going to get a positive, And 3 times x is going to give me 3x. And so for our second example, we are going to follow the same steps. So we want to take what's on the outside, multiply it by the first on the inside. And so that's going to leave us with 5 multiplied by b. And then for the second step, we want to take what's on the outside and multiply it by the second on the inside. And so that becomes 5 multiplied by positive 4, right? And then after that, we work it out. So we say 5 times b will give us 5b, right? And then we have a positive. So again, what we're working out, this is usually where the issue comes in, right? So we have 5 times positive 4, right? So a positive times a positive will give us a positive, and 5 times 4 will give us 20. Now that I am thinking about it, we should also add as a prerequisite skill multiplying our positive and negative numbers. And so I'm going to also go ahead and include that link for that video so that you can go ahead and refresh that, because if we're not comfortable with multiplying our positive and negative numbers, then this could also become a problem, right? So we just want to cover those two skills. So it's multiplying the algebra and then also the positive and negative numbers. All right, so once you are through with revision, if that is something you would need, you can go ahead and do that. And then I would like for you to try these 2 questions. So press pause, work them out, and then you can press play to receive the solution. Okay, so provided you work those on your own, let's go ahead and try to work it together. So we would have outside times the first on the inside, right? And so you have 7 multiplied by y. That is then followed by outside times the second on the inside. And so you have 7 multiplied by positive 1. And in working that out, 7 times y is going to give us 7y. We then have 7 times positive 1. So we know a positive and a positive gives us a positive. And 7 times 1 will give us 7. For the second question that you received, it was 8 open bracket 2 plus m. So you want to take what's on the outside, multiply it by the first on the inside. So that becomes 8 times 2, right? And then we're going to take the outside, multiply it by the second on the inside. And so we have 8 multiplied by positive m. And so the 8 times 2 is 16. And then we have 8 times positive m. We have a positive times a positive, so it is positive. And 8 times m will give us 8m. Okay, so let us try another set of examples, right? So we would still have the positive on the outside, and we would multiply it by the first on the inside. So this would be 2 multiplied by minus 1 or negative 1. That would then be followed by the outside multiplied by the second on the inside, which is going to give 2 multiplied by positive b. Now for the left hand side, this is where I would have mentioned about the prerequisite of multiplying positive and negative numbers. So we have a positive multiplied by a negative, and so based on the rule, you know we are supposed to get a negative, and 1 times 2 is 2. For this side, we have a positive multiplied by a positive, and so that is why we get positive. And then 2 times b gives us 2b. Okay, I'm going to do another one similar to that one. So for the next example, right, let us say we have this, we would take the outside, multiply it by the first on the inside, so that becomes 3 times negative y. We draw our line. We then have the outside multiplied by the second on the inside, right? So that becomes 3 multiplied by positive 4. So using our rules, we know that if we have a positive multiplied by a negative, you get negative, right? And 3 times y is 3y. Again, if you're not comfortable with how I'm getting 3 times y to be 3y, that means you have a problem with multiplying your algebra. And so I would suggest going back to watch that video. You can check in the description because the link would have already passed, but you can check in the description and you can click on that link in order to fix that foundation skill. All right, we then have 3 times positive 4, so that's a positive times a positive. And so yes, we expected to get a positive, and 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, give you 2 to try on your own, and then we will call this complete for this video. You can check out part 2 to get some more examples. So go ahead, you can press pause, work out these 2 questions, and you can press play to receive the solution. So you want to go ahead and we would have the outside multiplied by the first on the inside. And so we would have 5 multiplied by negative 2. Then we want to consider our second option, which is the outside 5 multiplied by the second on the inside. And so we have 5 multiplied by positive p. Now working that out, pulling for our multiplication rules, we have a positive multiplied by a negative. So we know we get a negative, and 5 times 2 is 10. We then have a positive multiplied by a positive. So we know our answer is going to be a positive, and 5 times p gives us 5p. And for the second question that you were supposed to work on your own, it was 4 open bracket minus b plus 1. So again, we want to take the outside, multiply it by the first on the inside, and so we have 4 times negative b, right, followed by the outside multiplied by the second on the inside, right? And so we would have 4 multiplied by positive 1. And then to complete the question, again, we have a positive multiplied by a negative. So you will get a negative, and 4 times b is 4b. Then we have a positive multiplied by a positive. And so we get a positive, and the 4 times 1 will give us 4. Okay, I do hope you found this video useful, and if you did, be sure to leave a comment below. Of course, there are a lot more examples I would like for us to go through, and so I do encourage you to watch the next part of this lesson. So it will be single bracket expansion part 2 to ensure that you cover all the possible ways that this type of question can appear. As usual, I'm rooting for you, and I will see you in the next video.